Welcome everyone to Day 2 Field Talk, applying the TIP model to help youth achieve goals. It is my pleasure to introduce today's moderator, Tracey Pike, Executive Director with Ascend.
Thank you so much, and welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited for us to be able to unpack all this content today. And as you're aware, the whole purpose of Field Talk is it's your time to share, your time to network. Isn't it painful sometimes when some of the presenters are talking and you're like, oh yeah, and you have an idea to share? Well, this is it. This is that time to share. And so we are going to go into our breakout rooms here shortly, and we're really going to be talking about how tip. I was just, before everybody joined the call, I was just asking Scott Roby, how you tipping today? And I love some of the language we're learning and the concepts, but we're going to learn how can tip, or we're going to discuss how can TIP, transforming impossible into possible, model, the TIP model for developing psychological self-sufficiency, help teach poverty prevention through self-sufficiency and emotional maturity? So that'll be our question number 1, and Julie will put that into the chat, so don't worry. And your kind of your moderator of your room who's trying to facilitate the conversation will remind us of that question. And it might be on a slide. Do we have it on a slide, Julie? Maybe it is. If not, let me read the second question too so that we can just spur our thoughts. The second, there you go. I should have called for that, right? The second thing we're going to do is discuss the personal empowerment inherent in developing the psychological self-sufficiency to build healthy relationships and the resulting impact it can have on forming healthy marriages and safe and stable families. So as you heard from a few of our grantees share, now it's our time to share. So we are going to go into our breakout rooms. Do not forget to identify which room you are assigned to in case you get, lose an internet connection or you're on a cell phone and you need to switch to a different device. Just remember what room you were in so that when you re-enter the meeting, you can be put back into the correct room or the same room that you were when you left off in a conversation. And then second of all, we're going to go backwards today. We're going to start with room number 10 in our share out, but you're going to need to remember who is your spokesperson. So identify a spokesperson fairly early on, and then again, you'll have probably a facilitator in your room to kind of guide the conversations. And it really would be helpful, y'all. I know it's uncomfortable sometimes, but like if I can do it, you can do it. If you could show your face on camera so that people feel like they actually have someone they're talking to instead of a little black box, it's just so much more helpful to, dialogue with someone that you can actually see. So if you can show yourself on camera, that'd be so greatly appreciated to everyone else in the meeting. So without further ado, do we have our room set up yet? Julie, are we ready?
We are ready.
All right. Well, we'll see you on that flip side here in just a little bit. Enjoy. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had such wonderful conversations we did. There's nothing like hearing people with boots on the ground in the field sharing this practical application. So we are going to start with breakout room. As a matter of fact, I didn't look how many there were. Julie, were there 10?
We had 8.
We had 8. Okay. I'm sorry, Adrian. Thank you. 8 rooms. So we're going to start with breakout room number 8. Can you please unmute yourself, tell us who your spokesperson is, and share the big takeaways that you discussed.
I'm the spokesperson for 8, so you're going backwards, Tracey. Okay, I'll start there.
Yes, I'm going backwards. I'm shaking it up.
Shaking it up. Well, takeaways. You're looking for takeaways, right?
Yes, big takeaways. Okay,
the takeaways was to continue to cultivate hope and vision for our students, and then one person is new to these programs, and she was inspired by all of you and the speakers. So for anybody new to SRAE, that's a wonderful thing. Another one was that we need to operationalize and be concrete with students about healthy relationships. I did a analogy as we all used to think that we knew how to wash our hands before COVID. but the CDC thought that we needed to learn how to wash our hands. So what they spent millions of dollars breaking down the steps. At first you have to do this, then you have to do this, then you have to sing happy birthday 2 times and with the suds. That's what we're trying to do with healthy relationships and how to operationalize life vision and life mapping and life planning. So that was another takeaway that somebody liked. And the last one was, 2 more. One was looking up other curricula. People who had a curricula maybe want to look up another curricula that they heard something about to enhance their programs. And the last one was to make sure that we don't lecture, but we make it relevant by doing concrete things that kids can really hang on to, no matter what their life experience is, no matter what the whole thing about the pyramid and showing how this all works with the picture, giving them the picture, giving them the vision, and letting them redesign their life, to design their own life, having the capacity to design their own life. So that's what our conversation was about.
Great. Thank you, Jonine. I love how you were just talking about making it so practical, giving them practical, concrete steps. That's how you're operationalizing and tipping, right, toward hope. So I love it. Thank you. That sounds like you all had really great conversation. And investigating other curriculum and how they're doing it. And that's what these are for too, is to share those ideas. So thanks, Jonine. How about group number 7?
I'm the spokesperson for group 7.
All right.
And we spoke about goal mapping. A lot of us took that as a major takeaway, like helping young people write down their goals, talk about like, this is your goal, this is how you're going to get there. And someone else mentioned how they appreciated how the speaker like empowered us to think that like we can help young people turn I can't into I can and I will. So we really liked that. We also appreciated how one of the people who spoke like really personalized and humanized the barriers that she had been experiencing and relaying that to her students so that they understand that they're not the only ones going through this, which we thought was awesome. We also spoke on analyzing, like helping young people analyze their past experiences, like what have they been through, what doesn't serve them anymore, what do they want to leave behind, and what do they want to take into their next relationship. And then from that, it led to a conversation about like cultural differences and how those can play into a person's past experiences. So that's all the stuff we talked about.
Oh, is that all, Kennedy? Is that all y'all did? That was amazing. Wow, I love this idea of turning the I can't into I will. That's how you said that. And humanizing the barriers. Wow, that I really wish I would have been a fly on the wall in that room as well. Although group number 5 was awesome. Thanks, Kennedy, for sharing. How about group number 5 and 6? You can just jump in after 5 if we if you just couldn't find your unmute. Go ahead, Kelvin, bring it home for group number 5.
All right. So for question 1, we discussed goal setting as an avenue of how the TIP process could be implemented. If each student or each team developed their goal plans, their success plan, that could definitely put them on the right track of reaching a success sequence. And then our other takeaways were looking for security and structure. Young people, sometimes they need guidance and discipline. And when they have structure and discipline, then that can help them to overcome any barriers that they may face or the challenges that they're going to endure. In addition to that, when young people look at the barriers, that's basically unpacking the negative baggage that they bring to the class, bring to their life. Whatever those baggages are, our goal and effort to reach the tipping process is to make sure they unpack the baggage so they can create new layers that they can walk and be steadfast in to make sure they are making significant progress. Furthermore, another activity that we think will be effective is storytelling. We don't often want to share our personal stories with the students, but if your story has some type of balance and has a foundation that they can relate to, we think that the youth definitely can have some takeaways from that. We don't want you to dive too deep about your life, but if you've overcome some boundaries, some challenges, whatever they may be, they can give some insight and inspiration to the students that you're working with. Mm-hmm. And I think one word that we found out is authenticity. Students can tell if you're not genuine, if you're just there to receive a paycheck, or if you're there to really help them transform their life. They can see it through your behavior, how you interact with them. So authenticity is vital to reaching the population, and then the population can see that, okay, they care about me, then let me listen to them, and I'll try some of these things. And last was using our adaptations in our REACH program with hip hop and African American history. When we talk about overcoming barriers, we look at the enslavement process and how African Americans not only escaped slavery, but overcame it. And then you created Black Reconstruction, the Civil Rights Movement. We use those tools to show the youth that although there were systemic inequity, the African Americans still continue to fight incrementally and for major changes. And that brings a historical context to the idea of getting out of poverty, and then definitely making sure that you understand the success sequence, because education was denied during slavery. But after slavery, education was allowed, but still the barriers existed. And we talked about how African Americans overcame those barriers. And those are all the answers for question 1.
Wow. Kelvin, you brought it. And I love how you really mentioned just personalizing the curriculum to your audience. And you mentioned, you specifically serve African American populations, so using the heritage to talk about the barriers that have been overcome. Just very empowering. Thank you so much, Kelvin, for sharing for our group. Number 5. So I want to go back to 6 because I hear that Jerry Regier was our facilitator. Jerry, I'm calling you out. Where are your people?
Hey, I can join in. So I was a part of 6.
All right. Thanks, Vincent.
I'll go pretty quick. We started off talking about goal setting, and in goal setting, whether or not there's a specific map that you walk your students through or not, just beginning small, try not to overwhelm them with answering the biggest questions of life, but talking about daily decisions and then working your way up to something bigger. Christine talked about delaying gratification and how that's empowering when they start to understand the purpose or the purpose of it, but also what you can get or how you can gain from it when you delay things that you want. Someone also mentioned how using TIP can, in terms of preventing pregnancy, can be something that's passed along. So once you're helping one, they can help another. And we heard a little bit about that in terms of yesterday, at least the group I was talking about, with role models who grow through the program and then can mentor younger people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We talked about the empowerment that comes when realizing that they can move past what they've done in the past, and they can make a different decision moving forward. Mm-hmm. Several people identified seeing that visually on people's faces. That's where different ways in which we present it, and how important it is that if someone pushes back against the success sequence, that we should ask them, hey, go consider talking to that person. And if they do, follow up. Ask them, hey, did you happen to talk to that person who you were mentioning went through went through their life in a different way, but was still successful? And so we talked about the importance of follow-up.
Great, Vincent. Thank you. It sounds like you had some very good coverage with diverse conversations there. For the sake of time, let's go to group number 4. I'd like to hear from you and what you all talked about.
My name's Danelle. I'm the spokesperson. I've got a short little paragraph, kind of put it together. So we have to have hope to give hope to the students, to the people that we're working with. We really liked that when he said we have to find what gives them strength. They need to look and see what that is. Grandma's voice, whatever it is that gives them hope. And then using the 2 hope actions for every 1 barrier to see that we have more hope than we have barriers. To have the students take the ownership of what they're doing so that they grow in self-efficiency, their self-awareness, which then brings their change. Their mindset will connect this to the success sequence in small increments, even if it means getting back on track. Maybe they've made decisions that took them off track. Even taking steps to be strong enough to break the cycles that they've seen in relationships in their lives so that they can carry on with healthy relationships in their lives. And that's a small synopsis.
Wow, Dinell, I really halfway want you to write all that in the chat because that was really good. But the big takeaway I heard you say was you have to have hope to give hope. So self-care is so important for the presenter and the facilitator and the curriculum authors and writers, those of us sitting here. Thank you, Dinell. That was amazing. How about group number 3? We want to be efficient with our time.
Hello, group number 3 here. So for number 1, we talked a little bit about, needing time to really make sure we get it in our curriculum, that we are able to monitor fidelity, to really be able to teach it to its full effect, as well as teaching, like I mentioned, and a couple other ones, that, teaching self-sufficiency in everything they do, to really show them that, even just working 1% towards your goal each day, it will get you there, like just one step forward. I know a couple of us work with extremely at-risk youth, and just having that mindset change for them is a huge, huge breakthrough to learn that, hey, I don't have to be perfect. I'm going to fall, but it's just trying to strive each and every day for what they're looking for and what they want out of life. Yeah. Number 2, getting them to think about the future, kind of the same thing, that there's a better way. Getting them to know themselves, talking about good, bad baggage, and how even some of the bad baggage can be good for them, where it really wakes them up and realizes, hey, this is how my childhood was, or this is how, my young adulthood was. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for my family. Really making sure that they, that they're striving for their best life, and giving them tools and tips along the way, that the little bit of time we have with them, to really empower them to pursue them further and get them going in the right direction.
Wow, Blake, I love it. And, when you were saying, just the increments, some kids are just trying to get through a day, right? Like, you just made it through the whole class without losing your cool. Look at you go, right? I think that's so powerful, especially for some of the students that we're serving. So thank you so much for sharing, Blake. That was awesome. How about group number 2?
Okay, I'm with group number 2. I have 3 pages of notes, so I will try to just hit the high points. We had a lot of really good conversation, as I know all these groups did. One of the things that came up with the first question toward the end of our discussion, which I want to put first, is being intentional from the moment you walk into that space with that student, so they recognize that you're there for them. Utilizing real life illustrations to give them hope that success is possible. Being genuine with your illustrations, showing authenticity at all times and at every opportunity. Don't be judgmental. Meet these students where they are. We talked about that idea of 2 steps forward and 1 step back, that as long as they're getting a step forward, to keep persevering and keep being resilient and learn from that back step. Help them to identify their values and self-worth. And then for the personal empowerment, teaching them to be intentional helps them be future focused. The idea that you can't give what you don't have. So working on yourself first, that if you're not where you need to be, you can't, just going into a relationship isn't going to fix you. 2 halves don't make a whole. That idea of having real couples coming into the classroom and talking about the challenges that they faced to get where they were, that happily ever after doesn't just happen, and it's a lot of work. We always want to make sure that hope is greater than the barriers, and that barrier idea is one that we really focused on there at the end, was change that from barriers, change that to hurdles. You know, we all have challenges, we all have hurdles, but we can get around them or we can get over them. Barriers often just stop you. We need to show these students that they don't have barriers, they have hurdles, and they can.
And I like the intentionality of your verbiage, and that barriers, you know, when you see a barrier in the road, you can't get past it. But when you see a hurdle, you can jump over a hurdle, right? So
Right.
I love that. And it goes with your theme of intentionality. And thanks for being brief, Lisa, because I heard you flipping pages.
And I
Let me
was,
just
I,
throw the-
and
I
I
was gonna
was
say-
her backup, and she did a great job, so I'm backing her up.
Thank you. Yes, thank you all.
Well, and something else that came out, let me throw this in real quick, because I think this would help everybody, is the idea of going back after you teach the class. If you can show up for a family night or a basketball game or whatever, show up for them and show that you do care. It's not just a job. It's not just a Monday through Friday thing.
Yeah, it goes with the authenticity, right? That's awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And group number 1, bring us home here.
All right. Same. I'm with group number 1, so my notes are all over the place, but I try to condense them as much as I could. So we talked about youth and just how like they're growing over time, all throughout school, all throughout their life, and how it's a learned process to overcome any challenges that they might be having throughout their life. And then using a strength-based approach and not assuming that the differences that we see in youth are necessarily their weaknesses. And so just also steering away from using the negative language, as Dr. Hahn said, like using challenges instead of barriers, and just empowering that growth mindset and not really leaving like a negative taste in their mouth of like everyone has barriers. Maybe sharing experiences with youth and connecting with them, and using maybe a calm approach to address any challenges that might be having. And then we did have some facilitators who used a personality test, which allowed you to use or to learn more about themselves, like their strengths and their weaknesses, and how they could be used for good when talking about their weaknesses. So how their weaknesses can really be used for good, or maybe how you should be careful with some of your weaknesses. And then just helping the students understand and embrace their differences. And so this could lead to youth goals being much higher, and then recognizing and really appreciating their strengths and their differences. And then we had another facilitator use the 5 love languages and understanding how the youth feel loved, and then also understanding how others feel loved as well, so they can better communicate with their peers. For question 2, I'm sorry, talking about like their goals. Some youth may not have the concept about envision, or maybe even just envisioning their goals, or realize that they could even accomplish their goals. And so we had one facilitator ask youth to think about like 3 wishes, and so those wishes really being their goals. And so some of their wishes would end up being like jobs, family, a house, things that they can actually accomplish, and then connecting with the students and having them connect those dots of how they can themselves get to those goals and get to those wishes. And then to cut it short, just using a holistic approach and just making a collage of relationship goals and having youth understand where they are in their relationships, and then how those relationships can affect their goals as well.
You did not disappoint, Brianna.
There's so much.
I know, and you know, you would think by the time we went through all the rooms that we would run out and go, yeah, ditto. But you know, like Marianne Mosaic just put in the chat, like, bravo to the field. You all are so rocking it. So I hope you found that this was so helpful. I think we learned so much from one another through this venue, and thank you for being here. And you know, just like day 1 left us as day 2, like it's going to be exciting. Please be sure to come back for day 3, because there's so much more to learn and apply and learn from one another. So I'm going to hand it back to Adrienne Selvage, who is kind of hosting us, and she will give us some closing remarks here.
Thank you guys so much. We are over time, so I will not take long, but it's just clear to me that you guys are so passionate about the work that you do, and it's inspiring. And I just hope that you guys got so much out of today. I know I did. And I can't wait to hear more about tomorrow. So the feedback link is in the chat. We would certainly love to know what you guys think. Help us build on this and make day 3 even better. So thank you again. And we appreciate your time today.
See you tomorrow.